Chua pengti, yun patisa, ki mulira kun king. Achua pengti, yun patisa, ti chuba. Chiwi aita ka chong chicha, agi inko tu chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo, tong hitwama agi inko tune, portong hit. Tong hitwama aki inko tune, potong hitwama ji aki inko tu, tong panokun, non chachiska. Jiska dosoki, kopa bono nakachu, labora na winki smaktoma, kuyami, chiwi aita ka chong chicha, agi ichuta. Topa na ota vokasa, pampa ki muli achua pengki, yun patisa. Chiwi aita ka chong chicha, agi achua pengki, yun patisa, kakincha nawabagaon, bagwa shang kontimat. Chiwi aita ka chong chicha, agi inko tune chunamu. Tong hitwama agi inko tune, potong hitwama ji aki inko tun. Tong panok, tong hitwama ji aki inko tun. Kachopa bogra shong konta chicha. Jiska dosoki, kopa bono nakachu, labora na winki smakto. Achua pengki, yun patisa. Jiska dosoki, kopa bono nakachu, labora na winki smack. Tong hitwama agi inko tune, potong hitwama ji aki inko tun. Tong panok, chiwi aita ka chong chicha, agi inko tune chuna, chiwa aita kang kicha na ki muli. Ki Tong hitwama agi inko tune, potong hitwama ji aki Baba Hasan Shan. Tong hitwama agi inko tune, potong hitwama ji aki inko. Chiwi aita ka chong chicha, agi inko tune chuna mulira chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo. Jiska dosoki kopa bono nakachu labora na winki smack tong hit wama agi inko tune. Portong hi wama ji agi inko tun. Tong panokun nonek achua pengti yun pati. Tong hit wama agi inko tun achua pengti yun pati. Jiska dosoki kopa bono nakachu labora na ki muli. Ki mulira ki kakincha chiwi aita ka chong chiwa aita kang kicha. Jiska dosoki kopa bono nakachu labora na winki smack toma tong hit wama agi inko tune. Portong hi wama ji agi inko tun chiwi aita ka chong chicha. Chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo. Chiwi aita ka chong chi kakin. Chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo. Ki kakin cha na wabakaon. Chiwi aita ka chong chicha. Kakin cha na wabak. Baba Hassan. Chiwi aita ka kakin. Baba.
got something on your mind, do you? You got yourself a fast little ship? I'd forgotten what engine sounded like. The closest thing to that on Kashyyyk is an uller in mating season. Ugh, frightful. Or it could be for the free food. What's the gunk that comes out of the synthesizer on this bucket anyway? Do you never clean the darn thing? How impatient can one person be? You must have driven your mother mad. All that gurgling and fussing. Babies are cute, but annoying. You know, you remind me of someone else I knew ages ago. Pleasant enough fellow, great destiny, all of that. Breath like a bantha. No, but it could be. An Anduvian salt tablet would clear that right up, you know. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Andor Vex was his name. The force swirled around him like a hurricane. That's how great his destiny was. I did. Just because someone has the force swirling about them doesn't always mean they have a great destiny. But it doesn't hurt to check it out. Well, it turned out that poor Andor believed a wee bit too much in the infallibility of that destiny. That overconfidence turned out to be his downfall. I am not. I've no need to make things up. With my poor memory and all. You just sit still and let me finish, damn it. Let's see. Oh yes, Andor's downfall. I was pretty young myself when it happened. At the time, I thought that Andor's destiny couldn't be more boring. Well, let's just say that I was a strapping young lad with a full head of hair, and Coruscant was a small town with a well. I was just about to abandon Andor to whatever the Force intended for him when his ship was overtaken by a Dimian warship. Now, you've probably never heard of the Dimians, but at the time they were a nasty lot led by a nastier overlord named Krat. Tall fellow, big teeth. Krat has us hauled onto the bridge of his ship for questioning, and that's when I knew that Andor's destiny was at hand. Of course he did. Haven't you been listening? It was not in the way you'd probably expect, though. Well, Andor decides that his destiny makes him invulnerable and starts making all sorts of demands. Free me now. I'm not answering questions. Blah, blah, blah. Don't you know who I am? Krat decides he's had enough and begins crushing Andor's neck. I told the boy he should have kept his mouth shut. I think he agreed, too, or those could have just been gurgling noises. No, well, anyway. Finally, Krat has enough of Andor and tosses him aside into this giant energy intake shaft. Andor gets sucked in and starts bouncing around, screaming. Maybe Andor hit something sensitive on the way down, or just didn't agree with the reactor core. Next thing I know, all the ship's alarms are ringing. Everyone panics, and I run, barely making it to the ship in time before the explosion. Krat dies horribly, and the Dimians never quite recovered. Changed the political course of the entire sector for centuries to come. I'd call that quite a destiny, wouldn't you? Well, hey, the chances may not be great, but when one has the opportunity to see something like that twice in a lifetime... Anyway, go on. My throat is dry and you're making me cranky. Shoo!
Kipuna, bona na kichu. Selima wangakun. Mucho shakapaga. Mucho shakapaga. Mucho shakapaga. Mucho shakapaga. Tongki. Tong abuk sham. Tong abuk shamin. Tongki ba. Selimo. Kipona. Bona na kichu. Selimo wanga kun bikin. Kipona. Bona. Tongki ba non ton. Tong abuk sha. Tongki ba. Kipona. Kipona. Bona. Tong abuk sha. Mucho shakapaga. Tong abuk sham. Mucho shakapaga. Mucho shakapaga. Tong abuk sham. Mucho shakapaga. Mucho Tong abuk. Mucho shakapaga. Selimo. Kipona. Kipona. Bona na ki. Tongki ba. Tongki ba. Tong abuk shami no. Mucho shakapaga. Selimo wanga kun bikin. Kipona. Bona na kichu. Kipona. Bona na ki. Kipona. Tongki. Mucho shakapaga. Tongki. Tongki. Kipona. Mucho shakapaga. Selimo wanga. Kipona. Bona. Tongki ba. Tong abuk. Kipona. Selimo wanga kun. Mucho shakapaga. Tong abuk shami no. Tong abuk. Tongki ba non. Tong abuk sham.
Yes, what's on your mind? To think that I once looked up to these two as the best that humanity had to offer. Now I'd like nothing more than to put a blaster to both their heads. Although I suppose that only Malik is left, isn't he? Turned on his own master. Not that Revan didn't have it coming. Typical for their kind, I guess. No, not personally. But they aided the Republic during the Mandalorian Wars. They were heroes. Without them, the Mandalorians would have finished us for certain. In the fleet, we didn't see much of the Jedi, and I only met Malik once, but I was impressed by him. I guess that just shows how much the dark side can change someone. Nobody does. When they left after the Mandalorian Wars ended, they were Jedi. When they returned, they were something else. Well, when they returned from wherever they went, they had an entire fleet with them. Nobody knows where they got the ships. They had a lot of them. And as the years have passed, there always seems to be more and more, while our forces dwindle. Did they really get away with it, though? Revan was betrayed by Malik, and Malik hasn't won. In the end, the dark side won't help him. I used to think that it was a fancy name for something that I see every day. Corruption is everywhere. People are greedy and stupid and do horrible things. I'm starting to think it's different for the Jedi, however. That there's this evil watching them, waiting for its chance. You have so much courage and strength in you, yet somehow I have no trouble imagining it differently, like the flip side of a coin. It's not just you, it's Bastila as well. She's so intense. And I don't pretend to know much about the Force, but I know evil. No, I know how people change. I remember how Malik looked and acted before his return. And I bet the old Malik discounted the possibility that he would ever fall as well. Well, neither you nor Bastila are fully trained on how to handle your power. I'm just concerned at what might come. Oh, and that's not what I wouldn't want to see you hurt, either of you. I suppose finding the star maps is more important than your training and your safety. I just hope there isn't a price for you to pay.
Got something on your mind, dude? No, I never did I? My. Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the starship this morning, I see. Is that a chip on your shoulder, or are you a bit surly today? At any rate, I already told you why I wanted to leave. I'd seen everything I wanted to on Kashyyyk. Time to go. Time to move on. You live in an overgrown stump with a tax beating down your door, and you tell me how happy you would be. I was pleased just to have visitors. How many kilometer-high trees can you find an interest in before you figure you've had enough? I'd bet you can't be bothered to stay in one room for more than 15 minutes. And then there's all the critters in the Shadowlands. I'm just happy to be back in space, doing something new. Is that too much to ask? You got a smart mouth on you there, you know that? If others could talk, they'd sound like that. I'll admit, for all its flaws, Kashyyyk was home enough. But when you came along and I saw the destiny you had before you, I couldn't help but be intrigued. Interest? Well, I certainly don't have a vested interest. Call it more idle curiosity. Your destiny is rather unclear. In fact, everything about you that I can see is odd. Slightly off, as if my eyes are trying to trick me. Something is very dark about you. But, I'm sure you don't need to hear my ruminations. You've probably got enough nosy Jedi offering you one opinion after another to make you sick. I'll remind you that you're the one who started pumping me for information. Like an old man doesn't have anything better to do. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I were you. You remind me a bit of Nomi. And that can't be all bad. Nomi Sunrider. She came late to the Force, just as you have, and became one of the greatest Jedi ever. Oh, fine lass. Whether you'll follow the same path remains to be seen. For one thing, we'll never get anywhere if you stand around chatting up old men all day. Nonsense. If I ever refused to help you when you asked, how confused can one person be anyway? One thing I will say is that this little escapade does remind me a bit of my adventuring days before the war. Those were exciting times. Or at least it would remind me of those times if we didn't stand around. What's keeping you? You're too young to be so talkative. Shoo! Shoo!
How may I be of... What is it? Of course.
E cucuno no bamu. Ci gratu. Caci. Jedo badawana ni di bobo. Ronda di hotonga kun hankabi. Achuta. Wonga. Ronda di hotonga kun hankabi. Wana kun be.
Mucho shakapaka.
Tolpa da pongwale kando nangugu chuchut. Kavadum
Kipuna. Bona na kichu.
takom justach mikig.
Tong abuk shami nonok. Tong ki ba non tontek. Selima wanga kun bikin.
Tong haitwam chichi jum lumpa. Nitap. E cucuno no ba. Jedo badawana ni di bobo. Ronda di hotonga kun hankabi. Mucho shak pakat. Kachi kun ida hodonga. E ronda di hotonga kun hankabi. Wana kun be. Achuta. Wonga. Jedo badawana. Mucho shak pakat.
May the Force be with...
I must congratulate you on your action.
We have heard that there was a close confrontation between the Sandral and the Metallic. It is good to hear that you have learned the lessons of the Jedi Order.
Greetings, young Padawan. As chronicler of the... You should ponder the... May the Force...
got something on your mind, do you? Did I say that? Strange the tricks memory plays on you when you get older. Didn't I say that my past was my affair? You don't see me poking and prodding you with questions, do you? I might be, but a mouthy young thing like yourself shouldn't get to call me an old coot, damn it. And besides, you don't really want to hear about me. We're talking ancient history, probably before you were born. History bores kids. Proven fact. Oh, fine, fine. Have it your way. Just don't cry about it later. Yes, I was an adventurer. Happy now? I wasn't even done with my Jedi training back then. I had a full head of hair and an eagerness to see absolutely everything. Sound familiar? The Council was never happy with willful, brash Jolie Bindo, you see. Even less so when I began my smuggling career. Don't look at me like that, damn it. I wasn't always the wrinkled coot I am now, you know. I can still fight, too. So wipe off that smirk I see there. At the time, the Yukata system was interdicted by its own king. He preferred to keep his people starving and poor, all the better to oppress them. The Senate was trying to negotiate a peace, but they were getting nowhere as usual. I decided I wasn't going to wait. I found myself a ship and a partner, and we began smuggling food and supplies to the Yukata citizenry through the blockade. Oh, it was. I was a half-decent pilot in those days, and with the Force guiding me, we made it through some tough spots nobody else would have. Pilot, smuggler, several other things, too. Or did you suppose I was always a crotchety hermit? Well, we didn't buy all the equipment, per se. Some were happy to donate goods. Some we just, knew had more than they could use. Stole is such a harsh word. They would have donated those goods readily enough if they were compassionate. I considered it a tax on the greedy. We only got caught once. A lone Yukatish frigate shot us down and forced a crash landing. I thought the Force had abandoned me, as I remember. Well, as it happens, getting shot down turned out to be very fortunate. That day was the day Well, that was the day I met my wife. You know another way to get a wife? But yes, that's when I met her. If it's all the same to you, I'd prefer to stop talking now. My mouth is starting to draw flies.
Yes, what's on your mind? You got it.